Hello lovelies, so today I'm back with a book recommendation. So I'm gonna do my spring book recommendation and I have 8 books here to share with you. Some of these books are nonfiction, some of them are classics, and others are fiction. And there's one graphic novel, so I have something for everyone hopefully. So without further ado, let's start. First book is Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney, and look how much I love this book. So I include this one because I read this book around this time last year and I was wearing this a lot. This was like my obsessed t-shirt, like flannel t-shirt that I was wearing while reading it, so I thought why not wear that now just to commemorate. I had such a great time. I think this is the perfect spring read because it feels like the start of summer or it's the start of something new. And in this story, there's a lot of like self-discovery, there's a lot of new things happening. So we follow Frances and she has this relationship with her longtime girlfriend, now friend, Bobby. But now things start to shift in their relationship dynamic when they meet this couple and befriend this couple, Melissa and Nick. So without saying too much, this is more of a character exploration read, and I found it really fascinating, and I found their relationship dynamics really fascinating. If you like those literary themes of characters exploring themselves, their relationships, and finding themselves and going through day-to-day life, like modern day life, this one is definitely for you. Plus there's a adaptation now, the TV show, and I really enjoyed the TV show. Then we got Emma by Jane Austen, and oh my god, I think Emma is the perfect spring read, more so than Pride and Prejudice. Pride and Prejudice still gives me summer/fall vibes, but Emma is just so spring. Like, it has spring covered in it. Emma is this wealthy girl and she is basically like at the height of society, and she is putting her nose in everyone's business in high society, and she's playing the role of matchmaker. And I think that kind of like levity of subject matter is the perfect thing to read in spring after, you know, you went to winter and you probably read some like hard-hitting reads, some long reads, some winter reads. I think this is like a breath of fresh air. I think that Emma might be almost Emma is almost my favorite. I love Pride and Prejudice, but Emma was something new for me to read, and it really like brought those feelings of spring, those feelings of gossip, those feelings of matchmaking, you know. And I feel like, okay, this might be like an unpopular opinion, but you know how they like say like cuffing season is like in the winter and fall time? So spring and summer is flirting season. It's the season where everyone's going out, having fun, dating, exploring. So I think in that aspect, this gives me a little bit of that, like, you know, fun vibe. But also the main character does go through some growth, and I also associate growth with, you know, spring, where the flowers are blooming, are growing, etc. So I can't recommend Emma highly enough. Definitely pick it up. The next book is Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. So I know I say this every time I pick up a L.M. Montgomery book, but I went to see L.M. Montgomery's house in Uxbridge, Ontario. So that's her second house. I think that's the house where she died in, and I just love the vibes. Like, the vibes is really like seasonal. It's very lush with greenery. It's very lush with nature. And although this one could be read interchangeably any season, especially fall, I think it still holds up well in the spring season. And I have actually the graphic novel because obviously I read the novel before, but I really, when I saw this one, I really had to pick it up, and it's just so beautiful. The illustration, so lush green, so vibrant. And for those of you who don't know what the story is we follow the story of Anne, who's an orphan, and she kind of gets adopted accidentally from this brother and sister duo that needed someone to work on their land with them, but they ended up getting Anne, and Anne is this like very vibrant, eccentric, loving life, loving nature child. And I won't say too much more, but basically this is a heartwarming read. I haven't heard a singular person not like Anne of Green Gables. So if you've never read Anne of Green Gables, this is your sign to start reading it. Then we have Meet Me in Monaco by Hazel Gaynor and Heather Webb. And this is the fictionalized story of Grace Kelly's wedding to the Prince of Monaco. So I really enjoy this one. I picked this one up basically from my French Riviera series that I'm making because I'm writing a book set in the French Riviera. But this one has so many spring vibes. You have the lavender feels, the fragrance of the French Riviera right before summertime, and it's just leading up to this wonderful, beautiful wedding. And honestly, not many people talk about this book, but I really enjoy it, and I think it's a beautiful book, and it's a really fun book to read as well. So it's one of those books again that I feel like it's perfect to read between the spring and the summertime. So highly recommend this one as well. Obviously I had to include Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I haven't talked much about this book because I've read it a long time ago, but now with the TV show, I think it's the perfect time to talk about it again. It's the style of the book, the interview style where they interview this band and how they came to and how they broke up, and it's such an interesting dynamic. It's such an interesting book, and I think the adaptation was beautifully made as well. There's also a soundtrack, and that soundtrack from the show is a beautiful soundtrack. I've been listening to it religiously. It's the perfect soundtrack to listen to in the spring season and even in the summer season. Honestly, this is just another great quick read to pick up in the springtime. It has some heavy topics, but it also has growth, and I think, again, I don't want to repeat myself, but spring gives me those vibes of growth, of growing up, of growing older, of realizing things, of growing relationship and ending relationships and starting new and starting fresh. So basically this one is a perfect read for that. You regret me, I regret you. Okay, then we have Little Woman by Louisa May Alcott. Hefty chunker, so if you want to start spring with a hefty book, this is the one. It looks hefty, it is hefty, but it goes by so quickly. And this book actually surveys, I think, like the entire season, the entire year. You see the characters, the four little women grow up. So this again, another growth story, another family story as well. So this is another growth story as well. And we see these girls as they grow up, as they find their hobbies, their passions, as they get probably married. So I don't want to spoil anymore, but highly recommend this one. And it also has a big focus on family, and I think that's a beautiful thing. So if you want to read something that's more family oriented, this is the one to pick up. And then you can watch the wonderful and beautifully made movie by Greta Gerwig. This also gives a lot of cottagecore vibes, and cottagecore to me is automatically always associated with spring and summer mostly. So if you like that vibe, if you like that aesthetic, if you like cozy and deep and loving reads, this is the one to read. Then we got The Anthropocene reviewed by John Green, and this is a spring recommendation because it was released in the springtime back in 2021, I believe. Has it been 2021? I think so, yeah. And it's just him reviewing, it's just John Green reviewing all these little things in life and giving them a 5-star rating and talking about his own life as well. So this is like part memoir, part scientific, part everything, and it just has that humane quality, because when spring started to happen, end of winter, beginning spring, we had COVID and the pandemic, but this book is so hopeful, it's so beautiful, and it's so intimate, and I think it's the best time to pick it up in the springtime because it reminds us of that time where we didn't think we were gonna make it through spring, but we did. So definitely pick up this one. And the last book is Wonderlust, A History of Walking by Rebecca Solnit. I love this book. I researched and read this book for my master's final paper, and this was amazing. This made me fall in love with walking all over again. And for those of you who live in North American countries that have a lot of snow, it's hard to go for walks in the wintertime, when spring comes, I can guarantee you most Canadians are severely less depressed when spring comes, because we can go outside, we can enjoy the sun, we finally see the sun, and we can finally go on walks without being worried for our safety that we're gonna slip on ice, basically. So when I read this one, it just made me fall in love with walking all over again. And since reading this one, I think I've been walking more than I ever did in my entire life. Like, I've not stopped walking since reading this and researching this. And the beautiful thing about this book is also that it goes through the history of walking. So we're going all the way back, all the way forward. We cover marathons, we cover artists that would take these long promenades and these long walks, the French artists, and they would come up with ideas. And this is just such a humane book once again, and it has a focus, and it's very philosophical as well. And the author herself does go through her own experiences of walking, and walking also gives me that illusion of the road that we have to travel in life, and the road to growing. And the seasons are also a marker of time and the marker of our life passing, right? So that's why I think this one is great to pick up in the springtime, and I highly, highly recommend it. So that was it. That was 8 books. I know this was a very short book recommendation, but I wanted to pick things that I read personally, that I enjoyed personally, that I can relate to spring for me, that have the memories of spring as well. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found some new books as well. If you have read any of these, or if you're going to read any of these, just let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. And let me know as well, what kind of books are you reading in the springtime? What are some of your favorite spring books? I'm thinking of possibly making another spring book that's more cottagecore related, but then I'm thinking I can still make that in the summertime. So let me know what you want, and let me know if you like these type of book recommendations, and what other book recommendations do you want. Like, you guys know I read everything, so even if you have something super niche, I bet you I could find something, or I bet you I've read something in that genre or topic. So feel free to let me know, feel free to message me. I hope your spring is lovely, full of renewal, full of growth, full of love, full of light, full of sunshines, full of walks, full of good books. And having said that, I'll see you on the next video. Bye!